All right, great Tuesday morning. Hope everyone is doing well. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's our 15 minutes to mastery here at Manufactured Home Sales Mastery. I'm Cesar Mascoro Jr., and I am with you this Tuesday to go over a really great topic that has to do with manufactured home sales. And really, man, everything that we talk about really can be applied to life in general. But check this out. So we're one of the things that we do as a home consultant, right, as a professional housing consultant, is being able to figure out what is the right solution for our clients, what is the best way to get them the help they need, solve the problem, the housing problem that they may have. And I like to describe what we do as being, we're practical psychologists, right? For all intents and purposes, we are practical psychologists, and we have to understand that. We have to be able to wrap our mind around that, because with that, with what we do, we're asking so many questions. We're trying to get the right information, hopefully. Okay. So the quote for today comes from a very, very well-known psychiatrist, started a huge movement in psychoanalysis, which is Carl Jung, Swedish psychiatrist. And Mr. Jung wrote, "To ask the right questions, already half the solution." I'm sorry. I've got to be able to see the quote, right? And I can't see it all that well right here. There we go. To ask the right question is already half the solution of the problem. To ask the right question is already half the solution of the problem. And like I mentioned to you guys before, we're practical psychologists, right? And so what does psychologists do? Psychologists will ask questions to get to the root cause of whatever it is that the patient is going through, that may need some help with, right? Well, we have to do the same thing. We are practical psychologists as well. We are practical psychologists as well. We need to make sure that we're asking the right questions. But why? Okay. Why is it that we're asking these questions, and how bought in are you into those questions? Do you understand the importance of it? Okay. Because really, in order to be effective in this business, it's a pretty deep level. There's some pretty deep level thinking that must be done. You have to be able to stay ahead of your client and asking the right questions. But in order to ask the right questions, you have to be thinking ahead. Okay. You must be actively listening at the same time. And it brings me to, reminds me of something that we went through at our Supercharged Summit on Friday, when we were role playing some of the scenarios, role playing on the phone process, and I was the sales consultant. One of the attendees had that person be the customer, and some of the answers, as people are giving you answers, you need to be thinking about those answers and what does it really mean. Okay, because a lot of times we want to just move on to the next question, and we aren't really thinking about those. Do they make sense? What can be done about that answer, or the information that was given in the answer, right? So we've got to make sure that we're asking the right questions. It's so important. However, the only way that you are going to ask the right questions is if you, as the housing consultant, are completely bought in on the fact that the interview itself is important, or that if you're on the phone with the customer, the questions that you're asking on the phone are important. Too many times, there's so many housing consultants out there that all they're asking is, when they get a phone call or when somebody inquires about an ad that they had, well, how many bedrooms are you looking for? Do you have land? The basic standard questions, right? But none of that, folks, none of that gets in the heart and soul of the person. None of that is really finding out what's going on, the emotional ties. And you've got to understand, we say it all the time, right? Buying a home is an emotional purchase, but we're not just talking about happy-go-lucky type emotion. That's where a lot of folks get confused, and they think, man, as long as I can make them excited, we're going to be okay. But that's not it. That is not it at all. Especially in today's market, especially with prices being what they are, especially with the interest rates being as high as they are, especially with people, with inflation being what it is. Yes, inflation is real. Okay. It's not something made up. I don't think you go to the grocery store right now, you know that inflation is real, right? So you've got to be able to reach them emotionally. And what we're talking about emotionally is what is driving the decision? What is the problem that you need to solve? But in order for you to ask those right questions and get the answers that you're needing so that you can help them make that emotional connection, you have to be bought in on the interview questions. You have to be bought in on the questions that you're asking on the phone, not just trying to find out what bedroom size, how many bedrooms they need. Okay. Where do they work? How much do they make? Come on. That's the easy stuff. We've got to be bought in on understanding the importance of the questions. And I can get into one of the main questions that I always ask, that you should always ask, whether it's on the phone and then in person, because this one question will answer everything for you. This one question will set you up to be able to overcome any objections that may happen down the road. This one question is the driving force of their buying decision or their reason for buying. And it's also at the foundation, at the core of the housing problem. And if you're not asking that question, you're missing out. But again, it's because there's a psychology to manufactured home sales. There's a psychology to home sales. There's a psychology really to any type of sale. But especially when you're talking about homes, especially when you're talking about a product that you're going to just alter people's lives. You're moving them out of one place and into another. You're expecting them to get into to start a commitment. That's the question right there. Wow. You see, you should get into manufactured home sales. Ms. Marissa Flores Mascorro. What has you looking for a home? That is the question right there. And if you're not asking that question, you are missing the boat. Because from there, you can tie everything into that emotional need. But I'm going to caution you. I'm going to caution you on this one. Okay. Don't take surface level answers, because most people that are going to answer that question for you are going to tell you that they just don't want to rent. Whether they're living with family, they don't want to go rent a house. Whether they're renting right now, they want to stop renting. Whether they have owned a home before and they just sold it, they don't want to go rent. That's the standard answer you're going to get the majority of the time. 6 out of 10 times, that's going to be what you get if you just let that answer be the answer. So, and that's being lazy, just taking that surface level answer. Nobody wants to rent. Nobody that's looking to buy a home wants to rent. That's the easy answer for them to spit out. You have to dig deeper than that, because here's the situation. I need you to think about that, right? We talked about being a thinker. Think this through. If I come to you to try and buy a home, and I've been renting the last 5, 10 years, okay? It really doesn't bother me all that much renting. It really doesn't. If I've been doing it for that long, I'm comfortable with it. I'm good with it. And as humans, we are creatures of habit. And as humans, we try to take the path of least resistance. We try to not put ourselves in situations that are going to give us stress or anxiety or that are going to be difficult, that I got to put work into, right? So if you're not making that emotional connection with me, and if you're not making me feel the true pain as to why I'm looking to buy a home now, okay, the easy thing for me to do is going to be to stay renting. Even if I have to move to another house, even if I have to move to another apartment, whatever it may be, the easier thing is for me to stay renting than to have to go through the whole buying process. So you've got to get that out of the way. And how do you get that out of the way? I wasn't going to share this with you, but I'm going to go ahead and share it with you guys right now. So I hope you're watching still at 10:45 mark, the 10:45 mark here, 15 minutes to mastery. Here's how you ask that question. All right. If you're in front of the customer, you're doing your interview. Hey, Mr. Customer, other than not wanting to rent, right? I'm moving that other way. I'm isolating, right? Just like we do with overcoming objections. Other than not wanting to rent, what has you looking to buy a home? What in here has you wanting to buy a home? Point to your heart, because as soon as you point to your heart, they're going to look at you, point right there. They know what you're inferring, and they automatically get into their feelings, and they will come out with that emotional driver. If you're on the phone and they're calling you and asking you about a certain home, it still has to be the same thing. So what has you looking for a house? You've got to gain control of that conversation. We can get into all of that on how to gain control of the phone call so that you can be the one asking the questions rather than you being asked. But anyway, don't take surface level answers, whether it's about what they're looking for on the home, whether they've been somewhere else to get one, their finance situation, where they're going to place it, everything. You must dig deep. Okay. But it's all about how you phrase your questions. And that's why just a minute ago, I told you, don't ask what has them looking for a home other than not wanting to rent. Why are you trying to buy a home? Other than not wanting to rent, what has you looking for a home? Of the places that you've been to before coming to me, which one was your favorite? That's another way of asking, have you been shopping? It's all about how you phrase the questions, because you are a practical psychologist and you need to master the art of asking the right question, because as Carl Jung said, if you're asking the right question, you're already half the way to figuring out the solution. And my friends, we don't sell homes. What do? We provide solutions. We solve housing problems. You solve the problem, you get the sale. And the problem is not, I don't have enough space. The problem is the emotional reason. And the only way you're going to get into the emotional reason is by getting them into their feelings, getting them out of their head and into their feelings. And to do that, you have to ask the right question. Yes, we solve problems. We solve housing problems. That's what you are. That's what we do. And the quicker and better you can get at that, the better career you're going to have in manufactured home sales. And that's what we're here to help you out with at Manufactured Home Sales Mastery, is to get you to a mastery level. We want to help you become a master of manufactured home sales. And the only way you're going to reach mastery is by continuous learning, continuous training. And not just within your office, but outside. That's what we spoke about yesterday. If you're on our mailing list, you've got our weekly email, our Mindset Monday, and we talked about the importance of discipline in continuous learning and training, because that is what it's about. And we just continue to bring that to you here at Manufactured Home Sales Mastery with things like 15 Minutes to Mastery, with the other training programs that we have, whether you're a community manager, empowering community managers. If you're a housing consultant, we have our immersion sales training program. We have our full house training cards as well, where you can learn to overcome 50 of the most common objections in manufactured home sales. And most recently, the other thing that we just put out, which was Friday, was our Sales Supercharged Summit. We did a live training event, okay? And we got over 5 hours of training that you can get a hold of, that you can get for yourself. All you got to do is go to, actually, I'm going to change this up for you real quick. Let me hide this, because we actually have it set up back on the homepage here. All right. You can go to manufacturedhomesalesmastery.com /summit, where you can get the replay and the workbook. You know, get all the other stuff that you would have gotten had you gone live, but you can at least get the replay, get the 5 hours of training, get the workbook, and put in work, get better. We covered some of those things, like the questions to ask. We went into the sales process. We talked about leadership and the importance of leadership. We had a guest speaker on servant leadership. There's so much in there for you to help take your career, your life, your business to a whole new level, because that's what we're about here at Manufactured Home Sales Mastery. That's what we want for you. We want you to become a master at Manufactured Home Sales, because the public needs you. The people you serve need you, and they need you to do a better job. They need you to provide a better buying experience, and they need you to get in here. All right. They need you to get into their soul, into the emotions of what's driving their buying decision. And we're here to be your success partner with that. So I hope you guys take advantage of that. Go to manufacturedhomesalesmastery.com/summit, where you can get the replay and you get the workbook, and you can do the training at your pace, in your home, your work, from your phone, wherever you're at. All right. You guys have a great Tuesday. Okay. Attack the day, win the day, and let's go out there and kick some butt, man. As always, I can't wait to meet you. See you guys.